right. Good afternoon, everyone. I know we just completed a discussion that was quite heavy, quite interesting. Let me ask you to do one small exercise. Can I ask you all to raise your right hand? Great. Can I ask you to raise your left hand? Great. So people are listening to me. Let me ask you a question. How many of you here have felt stressed at least once in the last 2 to 3 months? Can you raise your hand? How many of you here have felt stressed at least once in last 3 to 6 months? Okay. I have a lot of educators here, so I'm going to ask you that. Thank you, sir. How many of you think your students have felt stressed at least once in last 3 months? Okay, I could see two hands going up. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And, and why do you think your students felt stressed? What could be some of the reasons? Let's just ask, what are some of the reasons you think your students have felt stressed? Academic pressure? Sorry? Academic pressure, maybe you could raise hand. Placement pressure? Okay. What else? Relationships? Studies, okay. Being in a new city, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe I share some of the other data as well with you. You know what? There is a National Mental Health Survey of India which states 83% of Indian students go through moderate and high stress in 2023, up from 71% in 2015. In fact, at YourDost, where we work with, say, 500 plus institutions, we also see a very similar data of 90% of the students of Indian universities reporting moderate to severe stress. And for these things, right, like you mentioned, self-improvement, a lot of confidence building, time management, relationships, academic concerns being the top issues, right? And in fact, this is also reflective of a concern growing in the country, right? The concern of nation's worsening suicides that we are all seeing in youth, right? In fact, ICMR's data says in 2015, 1 out of 6 students had suicidal ideation because of stress. And you know what that number is now? That number now, just this data in 2024, is 1 out of every 3 individuals. Right? So it is an epidemic, right? It is an epidemic that needs to be addressed. In fact, my name is Richa. I'm one of the founders of YourDost. And I got interested in this topic because of a very personal reason. I studied at IIT Guwahati. And many years back, 16 years back, when I was in college, I lost a friend of mine to suicide. And for what? She anticipated maybe she would not get a good placement and she was never able to reach out for support. That's what intrigued me into the subject, and I started asking myself, what is that I could have done differently to maybe save her, to support her? And with that, we really started YourDost, and in the last 10 years of our operations, we have supported more than 30 lakh individuals, worked with more than 500 educational institutions. And one of the things that I've realized, right, that all education, it's a complex topic, it's not easy, right? And especially in this age of AI, the greatest power that we have is being human. So I started asking myself, right, with all the data of conducting 30 lakh sessions, of interacting with educational institutions, one thing that we have understood is educational institutions wants to understand how do you develop frameworks to have a holistic well-being of a student, right? So that students not just gain knowledge, not just technically grows, but grows as a person. After all, you're all shaping the future of this country. And this is a framework that with a lot of research from our data, from looking at various studies that has happened. It's a quick, I'll take you through the 8 pillars of wellness and do a quick check with you guys as well, right? And these are the 8 pillars of wellness. Very simple. First is physical wellness, right? Are we supporting the student in their journey of physical wellness? Maybe having gym in the institutes, maybe yoga, maybe sports, and are we encouraging everybody to join? Emotional wellness. In the institutions, do we have framework if there is mental health support required, if there is a mental health crisis that happens? Have we been supporting students to regulate their emotions? Social wellness. Do we have frameworks in place? Earlier, there was natural support system that existed, right? People had family, big families, big friends. But are we helping students develop those skills of developing the right relationship with their peers, with their surroundings? Digital wellness. Have we been supporting our students to use digital tools responsibly? Do we have frameworks to support against cyberbullying, addiction to devices, and so on? Vocational and intellectual wellness. Do we create an environment where people could learn? Can they foster their creativity? Safety, right? Safety not just against bullying, but also against sexual violence, against sexual harassment, and so on, right? Safety. Are we creating that environment where people feel safe, where they know that there are right policies in place for their own safety? Inclusion. Do people from different parts of the country, different kinds of disabilities, do they feel that they belong here, right? Do we have frameworks, policies, systems? Are teachers trained well to be able to support, to be able to foster the culture of inclusion? Influence. Do we have support to help people who might be under the influence of substance, peers, or any other, right? Sometimes it could be parents as well, and how do we support that? I think I want to, while I've spoken about these pillars, I think some of you would have seen this, right? Can you go to the last page? Let's do a small, quick check together, right? I just want you to mark yes, no. In the last page, you will see this. I just want you to mark yes, no, or maybe. Is your institute equipped to handle mental health crisis, right? Maybe there is a suicidal attempt that happened, maybe something else that happened, there is a crisis. Is your institute has a policy framework system to handle that? If it is, then say yes. If it is not there, say no. Maybe that it is work in progress. Does your institute offer mental health professionals on campus and even online for academic, relationships, self-improvement, sexual wellness, etc., right? Again, yes, if it offers, no if it doesn't. Maybe if it is there, right? Like maybe some part is there, once a week somebody is visiting, some faculty is doubling up as that, or only offline is there is no online, you could put maybe. Are students, faculty, and staff trained to support each other's emotional well-being? Are faculty trained to identify somebody in the class needs help? What should they say? What should they not say? Right? Yes, no, maybe. Able to do that? Okay. Does your institute involve parents in recognizing and supporting students in emotional distress? Are there mandatory courses on emotional wellness, life skills, prevention of sexual harassment, de-addiction? Yeah? Does your institute promote responsible digital usage and address digital misconduct? Are there policies and practices to ensure inclusion across gender, age, religion, language, abilities? Yes, no, maybe. Right? You can just write. It's a self-reflection. I don't need to know it. Are there mechanisms to address academic indicators of emotional wellness, such as performance, absenteeism, and offer preventative support? Is there a provision for students to disclose mental health needs at the time of taking admission itself? Are there mandatory clubs or activities for social interaction and physical fitness for all students? Right? I know recently also Supreme Court has released those guidelines, right? Just a few weeks back saying some of these things are critical for the institutes to happen. This is not for you to score yourself. This is just for you to reflect in the institutions which are some of the pillars that are strong and which are some of the pillars that we could work on. Because you know what? Taking care of well-being of the students is not just a good thing to do. It's not just because we are great, we do this. It's also a great thing for the institution. It improves in the retention of the students. It improves in the performance of the students. And after all, right, if people are doing emotionally well, they'll do better in all spheres of their life, be it academically, personally, professionally, and so on, right? And that's what here these educators here, all of you are creating the future of the nation. It's an important thing for all of us to join hands and support the well-being of our future generation, in this, especially in this age of AI where there is so much uncertainty. I'm going to pause here. I wanted to ask you if you have any questions for me, anything that you might be thinking. Yes. At what stage is counseling required?
Yes, for the students. At what stage it requires?
Will somebody like to answer this? At what stage a counseling is required?
How can we identify that he is in the mental stress? These are the 2 points.
That's a very beautiful question, sir. Maybe I'll ask this to the audience also. How do you identify someone in your class, somebody, maybe in your family needs help? What are some of those signs to watch out for? Can some of you share? Sorry? Abnormal behavior. What do you mean by abnormal behavior? Doing differently, like there is change in behavior. They used to be very active in class, they are not active so much.
Not having proper food, not having
or eating too much, eating too little.
Exactly.
Both could be there.
Sleeping patterns also.
Sleeping patterns, sleeping too much, sleeping too little. What else?
Communication also.
Communication, social isolation. They used to be very talkative, they used to discuss, they don't want to discuss any. Even some physiological things, sir. Sometimes getting very angry. Small things, they'll react ki ye sab kharab hai, this shouldn't happen, that shouldn't happen. Sometimes they also say things like, maybe life after death is better, it's not worth living. Sometimes even physiological issues, right? Headache, chest ache, stomach ache, lot of gastric issues. These are all signs. But it's not to say today I'm angry, I should go to a counselor. But some of these signs, if it persists, right? It's like fever. If fever comes, we're like, so jayenge, it'll get better on its own, right? But if it doesn't happen in a week, we go to a doctor. Similarly, if these signs persist for a week or two, you should definitely go to a counselor. But sir, I also want to add to this, right? It's like, imagine yourself as a sports person. Okay? What would you do? Let's say you got an injury. What would you do? You will go to a coach to come back to your baseline, right? Let's say you are an A-class player. You want to up your game. You want to become an A-plus player. What would you do? You will still go to that coach to become better. Same as counseling. If you have a problem, you go to a counselor. But if you want to make yourself better, maybe I want to be better at confidence, I want to manage my time better, I'm a new mother, I want to learn how to be a better parent, you could still go to a counselor. I hope, sir, that answers your question. Okay. Anything else? Right. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and happy to take any questions even otherwise. If you think we could support you, your students, faculty in any way, happy to do that as well. Thank you so much.